doing. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of your potentially challenging homes that you might come across. How do you decipher whether it's a deal or no deal? How do you determine whether Big Stinky is the one or it's a dumpster fire? The home behind me has been sold. It's one that we did about a year and a half ago. The situation, so let me tell you the story real quick. I had a referral from the park manager. Park manager came and saw what was going on. She had a history. The lady had lived here. So basically this home has been owned by the same family since it was set here. And I think this was like a 78, if I recall correctly, 77, 78. So since it was set in the park, the same family had continuously owned it. So the lady that we bought it from, her parents had lived in it, and then when they passed away, she moved into it. She ended up being a hoarder. Nobody really realized it because she didn't, they probably did, but they just didn't investigate, one of those things. But she never let people, she would always meet people. So they didn't know how bad it was until she started having some elevated or escalated mental issues. So the park manager had known that something was going on because from a lot rent standpoint, she kept on paying, she would pay twice a month, okay? Obviously the park manager's like, hey, you don't need to pay me that much. The other thing is the lady had some mental issues that weren't addressed, unfortunately, and what happened is during the holidays, so around the same time which we're speaking in December, this woman ended up having essentially, for all intents and purposes, a mental breakdown. Her family didn't realize how bad it was until they walked in. Now the reality is by the time I found out about the home, I could smell it across the street. The home stunk. It reeked. I'm not even exaggerating. That's why we call this house Big Stinky. Okay? I'm smelling the house across the street. They called me. She was in a mental hospital. The family had all gathered, came up, gathered, was trying to clear things out to get it ready for sale. And what ended up happening is they said, if you take it the way it currently is, trash up to here. This is a 1,900 square foot home, people. 1,900 square foot of trash up to here. The ceilings are probably about 9.5 to 10 feet high, okay? It's a huge house, gorgeous house. There was not a pathway in the back room. I couldn't even tell what the master looked like because it was over my head as far as debris. The front room, couldn't get in there as far as debris. It was just ridiculously high. This whole space up here is all huge front room. Huge. It has a dining room, living room there. Kitchen comes up along this side where you see the slider and the porch. And then you have a bedroom and another bathroom in the back, which is the master. And then you have another master bedroom, bathroom, and also bedroom on the other side with a separate laundry area as well. Huge house. Huge house. This home hadn't been painted since it moved here. It was a pinkish red tint with dirty cream exterior. Looks way different now, doesn't it? We also, when I walked in there, like I said, trash all over the place. She had not had the plumbing on in 5 years. What was she doing with it? She put it in containers. Yes. Containers were all in the front room, folks. All over the front room. That was part of the debris that we got to remove. They said, if you end up taking it the way it is, $200, because we had to offer them some sort of consideration, we'll walk away, we'll get you title. So within 2 days, I was a proud new owner of Big Ol' Stinky. Now, why did I buy this? Was it a lot of work? Yes, it probably cost me near $5,000 to trash it out. That's the labor, that is the remediation, that is the dumpsters, that is the dump fees, everything. We had dumpsters that were up to and above the windows high in front of this that were loaded full. We had 5 of those. We had 30 yards, multiples of those. We had trailers Flatbed trailers, multiples of those. We even were giving away stuff on the front yard, okay? So any which way that we could just to get the debris removed so I could see exactly what I had at that point. I was lucky that the back bathroom hadn't been used since she had been in there basically, and it was meticulous. All I had to do is do a deep scrub. So remember how I talked about being essential in your team, the cleaning people? She worked her magic on that. I did not have to replace the tub nor the stand-up shower. We epoxied the countertop, looked gorgeous. So we went from red to charcoal. We painted all the cabinets, put in new light fixtures, put in some new mirrors, put in some new pools, put in a new toilet, and that thing was golden, okay? So that was the master. Now, the big thing is this. I did see that this thing needed a new roof. It's a 1,900 square foot home. And this was when prices of materials and availability of materials were skyrocketing. So when I first got my bid for the roof on this, OSB, particle board stuff, press board, okay? Not particle board, but press board, okay? Not sheet, regular plywood, okay? But press board, OSB, 3/4 inch, went from $30, which was high, was way high then, for then, up to $65 a sheet. So we did one side in $30, and the other side within just a short period of time was like $65. Crazy, right? So I had a lot of variables with this home during that period of time because things kept on increasing, and availability and quality of materials, like our 2x4s we had access to, were bone garbage that had knots and all kinds of stuff all over it. So what we did is we resheeted it, tore it all off, resheeted it. We had on this whole one side here, where this porch is, where it connects, water had been going back in there for years. So we had to rebuild those trusses in that area, and also the boards that butted up to where the awning is. So that was an additional cost. That did fix the leaking on the inside. So now we could go inside and address all the issues on the inside. We tore out the hall bathroom. Believe it or not, there was no subfloor issues. I was so surprised. No subfloor issues in that bathroom, even though the tub was just gross. It looked like a crime scene. Same thing with the bathroom. We won't even go into that. I don't want to give you that bad visual, but it was horrible. We tore all those things out, put new back in there. We even tiled it, put a new tub in there. Gorgeous looking bathroom. Kitchen, tore the complete kitchen out. There was so much odor and stench left in the cabinets, we just had to tear them out. So we tore them out, completely reconfigured it, put new cabinetry in there, and that's where I put my granite countertops. Because what was happening is, in the period of time we were doing this rehab, which was probably about a month and a half because it was so extensive and it was so big, and I had probably about, at any given time, 3 crews, different crews working on this home to be able to get it along, doing different things, drywall work, roofing work, electrical work, plumbing work, detoxifying work, because it still stunk for a long time. I threw everything I had at it, and I learned a lot more things on that, and maybe on another video I'll end up offering some of those pointers. But what ended up happening is during that period of time, the market started to crank up. So originally we were thinking the resale on this was going to be maybe $78,000. We sold this home for $99,000 cash. I bought it for $200,000, probably put about $30,000 into it, probably about $35,000 into it. We sold it for $99,000 cash. So, folks, this definitely is a Big Stinky win. Big Stinky was, we rolled the dice, we took a chance on the home. I knew because it was 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, it was so big, where it's located, it's basically like, if you take a look down the street, you've got site-built homes, and then you have the start of the manufactured home community. It's a house, for all intents and purposes. Granted, it still pays lot rent, but this is like a house. It is not part of your traditional mobile home park. Now, granted, it's on a little bit busier of a street, but it's like a regular old house. Now here's an interesting little tidbit. You want to hear something funny? The poor lady that lived here was considered a little off kilter, okay? She swore for years that there were people living under her home. Look at that home. How are they gonna live there? It's not a basement. It's kind of a crawl space. And if you've ever been underneath a mobile home, you don't want to live there, okay? So there's these little access panels all the way down the side. There's one behind that tree, between the two trees, that a homeless guy actually would remove, and he was living under there. There was also on the other side, on the other porch, the same scenario. So how do we find that out? We come up one day to do repairs on it, and he's running out from under there down the street. We tuck our head in there, and he has a whole living set up in there. So the poor lady, she wasn't crying wolf. She was accurate. She actually had somebody living under there. Little did I realize that I had an opportunity for a triplex here. So if I could have maximized it, maybe I should have done that, right? What do you think? I don't know. Anyway, the moral of the story is, folks, with this scenario, we had a win. That's why we chose this one. We had it at the right time in the right market. The other thing is, too, is we had the right skill set, and we had the experience to be able to know which one to choose that would end up making us a good income, would end up being a home run for us. And big old Stinky here definitely was a home stinking win.